I'm Andrea Giles, and you're listening to the Heal from Infidelity podcast, episode number 34, Pornography and Trust with Lindsay and Danny Poelman. Hello, and welcome to the Heal from Infidelity podcast, where courageous women learn not only to heal from their spouse's betrayal, but to become the boldest, truest, most decisive, and confident versions of themselves ever. If you know there's more for you than the life you're currently living, but don't quite know how to get there, you are in the right place. Stick around to learn how to create a life that will knock your own socks off. Is it possible? It is, and I'm here to show you how. I'm your host, Andrea Giles. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. I'm so glad you're here with me today. I have some special guests that I can't wait to introduce to you. I've had them in the works for a while. We've been talking about doing this for a while. They are friends of mine and amazing coaches with an amazing story. Their names are Danny and Lindsay Poelman. I'm going to let them tell you about themselves and their experiences and how they came to be coaches, what they coach on, and I know that you will find it very useful. I'm just going to go ahead and turn it right over to you guys. Tell us who you are. Tell us who you are, who you coach, and a little bit about your life. Go ahead.
Hey, awesome. Thanks, Andrea.
Hey, guys. Good to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks for that introduction.
Yeah. So my name's Lindsay Poelman, and I'm a certified life coach. I went to the same school as Andrea, and I coach women wanting to move past the pain of their husband's porn use. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. I'm Danny Poelman, and I work with guys who want to quit porn and want to do it in a sustainable way that they can actually learn to enjoy and look forward to. It's not just a drag, and let it go for good.
Awesome.
You know? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So We'll share our story, Andrea, but of course, because you know your audience better than us, then feel free to just interject or interrupt with any questions that you have as we go. Does that sound good?
Yep. Perfect.
So I don't even know where to start. Where should we start?
Yeah. I mean, I was a dentist and we had all these plans and goals. You know, we were young, bright-eyed couple. We were on the move and moving, grooving. We had the plan for her master's, for my dental school. We wanted to, get into a house, have kids, and
we kind of, that typical we had that check the box type mentality. When we got married, we met and we got married, and we kind of wanted to check off all those boxes, right? So, degrees, advanced degrees, house in the nice neighborhood, babies, and all the things.
Yeah, it was fun. We were going for it. It was fun,
really fun
a lot of the time, right? But then we, get into dental school, and for me, I had experimented with porn a little bit in the past. Hadn't ever been like a big regular thing for me. But then when I was in dental school, Lindsay, she was busier than I was because she was CPA working at an accounting firm, one of the big four. And I just didn't really know how to manage my stress very well. And some of my alone time, I used porn as one of my coping mechanisms. And
you had an injury too. Did it get worse? His second year of dental school, he got in a car accident and it kind of messed up his back. So I don't know if it got worse, your porn habit. Did it shift during that time too? Because you were home from school for
that was also a tough time. Yeah. And for me, it was every time I did it was my last time. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to be doing it. And I had so many times, every single time, okay, never again. Right. But then I just kind of found myself going back to it periodically, and it was, I was stumped. I was frustrated. It's not like I'm a lazy guy or a guy who doesn't have a sharp mind or, I'm a pretty motivated guy, and I know how to get stuff done is kind of how I felt. But then there's this thing that's what the heck's going on? And I was so ashamed of it. I didn't want to tell anybody, especially my wife. If there's one person that's the last person I would have wanted to know on the planet Earth, it was Lindsay.
So tell everyone why you didn't want me to know, because I think there's a myriad of reasons why people don't tell spouses. So tell us your reasons for not.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even really know how to face it myself. The fact that this existed, because I just assigned so much shame to it. But then, you know, if there's one person that I want to think the world of me, it's my wife, Lindsay, right? And the idea of like telling her this and seeing the reaction. And, you know, there was one time early in our marriage, the first year, maybe second year, one of those years, where I did kind of look at something for a few minutes, and I told Lindsay about it. I was like, hey, this happened and just wanted you to know, and I'm sorry. And I paid attention closely to her reaction, and I didn't know how to handle her reacting that way either. Yeah. Because she was, I mean.
Yeah. The first time you told me, I kind of just like shut down, and I took it incredibly personally, and was literally just like, well, obviously it's because of me. It's because of me. It's because of my body. It's because I don't look this way. I don't look that way. So I took it really personally, and it probably took me, it almost, because I didn't have any tools or skill sets. I hadn't learned how to process emotions and handle the pain or anything like that. It almost just took time for me to kind of get back to some equilibrium. Right. But I was still a little bit worried about it. But then from there, we made a plan for him to just, you know, I would check in on him occasionally with like this random code sentence. I don't know what it was.
How are you doing personally?
Yeah, something like that. Say. Yeah. Like that's kind of like what he wanted and what we decided together.
Yeah. So she would ask me sometimes just randomly, but then in dental school, I was, you know, in a spot where I remembered how she reacted, and that was hard for me with some of the ways I'd learned to show up in our relationship. And so at this time I kept it to myself, and I felt even more terrible for doing that. You know, but what happens with a lot of guys, in my experience, guys I work with, is there are so many disempowering ideas that we've been fed and we've learned throughout our lives about sex and about pornography, and just so many disempowering ideas. And I had a lot of those in full force going on in my brain. But you can be in this spot as the guy where, and this happens with a lot of guys, where it's like you know, first of all, I was told that it would get easier once I'm married and sexually active. You know, I had church leaders tell me this, and that's a bunch of BS in my experience. And I haven't found anyone yet where they're like, yeah, for sure, it's easier once you're sexually active. It actually is totally unrelated, surprisingly. And but then if you have it in your mind that as a guy, you have to have sex every so often, like you just need it, right? These ideas that are also sort of made up stories. Then, you know, you think about telling your wife, and what a lot of women do who aren't fans of this is they withdraw, and you're actually less likely to have sex. So it's like, if you're in this position where you think you need sex to not look at porn, but then you tell your wife and she doesn't want to have sex, then it's like, how am I going to look at porn? And then this can go on in guys' brains, right? Yeah. But then I think even more on top of the thing that was the bigger driver for me wasn't that as much as just, I really didn't want her to be disappointed in me. I couldn't handle her I didn't think I could handle her being disappointed in me at that time. So.
Okay. So going back to something you said, Danny, about that narrative that you grew up with, that so many men grow up with around porn. The comment you made about, well, once you're sexually active, it won't be a problem anymore. And you said that that they're totally unrelated. To explain more about that.
I just know, and even in my experience looking back, like there are times where we would be intimate together, and, you know, I maybe would have thought that it would have been easier to not look at porn that week, but then maybe it was even the same or next day that it would happen. And and the reason is because it all starts in your brain. It's just patterns in your brain, right? That we give porn so much power with how we've learned to think about it. Yeah. But the way that I like to describe it to people I work with is that porn actually has no power. It just sits there, right? And it doesn't jump out off of the screen and come and get you or grab you. It just sits there. Like, I kind of like to think of it like passing a billboard on a freeway, right? Like when you're doing certain things as a human, or driving on a freeway, you're going to pass certain billboards on the way, right?
Yeah.
But the billboard doesn't come and get you, right? You get to choose, do I get off the exit and go over and sit by that billboard for a while? Or do I, just see that it's a billboard just sitting there and there it is and moving on, passing on, right?
Yeah.
Drive right by. But yeah, the reason it's unrelated is just because it has to do all with our thought patterns, right? So for a lot of guys, what they're doing with porn is using it as a buffer where rather than feel their feelings, which is something a lot of us aren't taught how to do.
Yeah.
Let's look at porn, right? And, I feel a bad feeling or uncomfortable. Something's gone wrong. Got to get away from this. And here's something that at least makes me think I feel differently for a little while. Right?
Yep.
So, I mean, that's kind of how I would start talking about it. Would you add anything?
No. I mean, no, I was just thinking because, I feel like you can say that today because of everything that you've learned, but why did it feel like you didn't have control when you were looking at porn?
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, the initial technique or tactic that a lot of us use for stuff like this is willpower, right? Let's white knuckle and fight against these urges and cravings with willpower. And so number one, you have this craving that comes in, right? But then number two, when our only way of addressing those cravings is to fight against it with a limited resource like willpower that does run out in our brains till we sleep or eat or replenish it however we need to, right? Then, I mean, it actually makes it harder to quit because then it creates this pattern where, okay, instead of doing something more productive and learning how to sit with an urge, and this is a skill that I teach my clients, right? How do you sit with this urge and allow it to be there and learn to let go of all the thought patterns you have that have made it hard to sort of process or metabolize this urge without reacting to it, right?
Yeah.
And it's an incredible game changer type of skill that, most guys, when they start learning it, that's when they really start gaining some momentum. It's a new thing for a lot of guys. Okay.
Yeah.
But when you use the willpower approach, you create all this resistance and then it runs out eventually and it's exhausting and really uncomfortable to do it this way. And then you end up usually looking at porn anyway. And so you get that concentrated dopamine reward from the porn. And you've rewarded this whole other pathway that actually rewards your brain for creating that resistance right away the next time an urge comes. Okay, so rather than just having the urge and then respond to the urge and reward that pathway with the dopamine, right? That's the first pathway. We're also on top of that rewarding our brain for doing the willpower fight technique, which leaves us exhausted without willpower left. And then we cave in anyway. And so then it's like two of these patterns on top of each other that, make it, that's usually when guys feel kind of like they're out of control, like they just don't have control. And then with what we're talking about today, it's one of the big reasons why guys don't trust themselves with this kind of thing. Right.
Yeah. I'm sure feels out of their control sometimes. Right.
Yeah. I just remember being so confused and frustrated and like, seriously, again. And after a certain number of times, you just start wondering, like, is something wrong with me? Am I, and even with 12 steps and some of the ideas out there, like maybe I am defective, maybe I'm diseased, maybe I'm broken somehow, or maybe I'm just powerless. And that powerless type of mentality, that didn't work for me long term, right? I actually, for me, it was much more helpful to tap into my already existing power that I just didn't know how to access yet.
Yep.
And that's a big part of what I do with guys, right? But I remember when it came to the trust side of things, because I had kind of gotten so deflated from not trusting myself in this way. And, I started wondering, like, can I trust myself in other ways? I don't know, like, because I thought I could, but maybe I can't. And, just started second guessing myself. So then once I involve Lindsay in the conversation and she's aware of what's going on more, I think there's what happened what happens with a lot of guys, and for myself, is part of you wants her to trust you to kind of soften the blow of you not trusting yourself.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like,
yeah,
it's almost like we want them to trust us for us. Right.
Yes.
And if that's kind of what we bank on, then even if she does choose to trust you before you choose to trust yourself, you're still going to be left with the same insecurities and doubts and second guessing of yourself. And that's another big thing that comes up with most of my clients is how do we learn to trust ourselves?
Yeah, right. For sure.
I love that work.
Yeah. And I think from my perspective too, you know, he talked to me about the porn really early on in our marriage. I think it was the first year. And then we kind of had our little plan where you ask the unclear question and get the unclear answer.
Yeah. And we're not making eye contact, just kind of, you know.
I love it. Yes.
But
yes.
So for me, I felt like there was betrayal in the sense that I had been asking like how he'd been doing and he'd been telling me no. And then, you know, he came and told me that he was looking at porn and he'd been lying to me about it. And so that was a big blow for me because I felt like we just bought the house in the nice neighborhood. I just had my third, you know, we had a 3-month-old, a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. And so the fact that I was like postpartum made it hard too, because I was like, oh, of course he tells me now because I really did think it was all about me. So of course he tells me when my body looks like this or like this. And so I was taking all of that blame. And then definitely I felt at the time, because this was all pre-coaching and before I found the tools that really helped me feel more powerful and empowered, it had felt like some major trust had been broken. Because I think with trust, there's like a very all or nothing approach to it, like either or, all or nothing. And so I was letting something that my husband was doing like maybe 0.0005% of our marriage. It started making me question 100% of my marriage. Like, what else isn't true, right? What else did I miss? How could I miss this? If I missed this, what else have I missed? And so I kind of started going that direction. And
which is the same direction I was going myself in my mind. Like, if I can't trust myself in this one area, then maybe I can't anywhere. Right?
Yeah. So you're kind of
both not trusting me.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was pretty tough for a while. And then, you know, after he told me, like within a week of telling me, he started having panic attacks and a bunch of anxiety and depression and childhood trauma came to a head and he stopped working, which just kind of to me, just felt like another sucker punch at the time. I was like, what? But what it also did was it kind of put the pornography stuff on the back shelf while we kind of worked on getting him more stabilized with meds and things like that.
Yeah.
And from there, he started going to therapy. About 5 months later, I started going to therapy because in the beginning, I didn't want to get help because I didn't think it was my problem. And I remember when he first told me about the porn use, a friend of ours was like, you know, there's this program through the church for women. There's kind of like a 12 steps for women. And you'll have to tell me what your thoughts are, Andrea, because my brain was like, why do I have to do anything?
Yeah.
This is his thing. He needs to fix things. Why do I have to go through all of this?
I completely agreed. I was like, let's fix me so you can be happy.
And I was like, let's fix that so we can go back to normal.
Yes.
Did you notice, did you even do any 12 steps type stuff when you were going through what you were going through?
No, I didn't do 12 steps, but I went to a lot of therapy specific to betrayal trauma. So it was very much in the area that I was struggling in. And I remember having that same thought, like, why do I have to do all this work? Like, I didn't do this. Why do I have to do this work? And I hear that from when I have calls with people who are first starting with me and not quite understanding how empowering it is that they're giving themselves so much power that will help them for the rest of their lives. Right. But it definitely is a shift to say this, you know, what do I want my experience to be? And owning that piece but go back to what you're saying. So how did you come to terms with that? Like, did you go to the 12 steps? Did you choose something else? What did you decide?
So I went to some 12 steps. It took me a while to go to 12 steps, Andrea, because I was so ashamed And I was so ashamed because I just, I had heard friends who had talked about their husbands looking at porn.
Yes.
Or like being sex addicts. And I remember being like, wow, like that's not me. Thank heavens. Right.
Isn't that
totally
interesting?
Like playing into that. But then it was just like, how is this happening to me? And this is all with my lens before I know everything that I know now. But so that's really where I was. So I was ashamed. But after about, I would say a year and a half, I was doing pretty well in my healing. And I thought, I'm kind of curious about this. But what I did notice is that it bred connection. Like there was a lot of connection there. And for me personally, there was no, it was kind of like, I don't know. It just wasn't for me. Like it wasn't helping me with my healing. And that doesn't mean it doesn't help other people with their healing. I just know for me specifically, I was hungry for more. I was like, there just has to be more. Mm-hmm. And that's when I found coaching. And that's when I started, just seeing how much power I could have and how I feel around this instead of being completely reactive and, completely reactive around his porn use or his lack of porn use, or, he'd stopped working, his not working. The coaching helped me just really turn inward to see what I could do, what I could control. And that changed everything, everything for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lindsay, I remember you telling me at one point that you had people giving opinions. I'm sure Danny did too. Like, I'm sure you both had people giving you all kinds of opinions about what to do. What you should do this, you should bail. And that's what a lot of my clients deal with is like these thoughts of, well, what self-respecting woman would stay, right? Like that kind of thoughts, like really punishing to themselves, shame around staying, shame around leaving, shame, or like just so much shame, right?
Right.
Just around the whole narrative, so much shame. And so tell me, for you, how were you able to kind of set down the things that were being told to you and really go inside to what you wanted?
Oh, such a good question, because in the beginning, I was very externally focused. And, like I had seen families, quote unquote, like break up over things like this. That's what they say, right? People will peg like the porn use or the affair as the thing when there's usually so much more going on. And so there was a lot of fear there, but, interestingly, like because his mental health was, I don't know if like fragile is the word, but because he was very non-functioning, I kind of shelved the porn stuff because that's where we were focused on, just like helping him like stay alive, get meds, fall asleep, stay asleep, like all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because of that, I kind of just like pretty early on, just like trimmed the fat of my life. Like everything I thought I knew, it kind of was like, it's like I kind of created my own new foundation of what things were going to look like. And I was really struggling at this time too. It was actually, there's a lot of foggy times too. But what I will say is that just a lot of stuff I'd been told, I decided that I just had to like carve out my own marriage and my own life in the way that it works for me and my family. So I felt like even at the very beginning when he, had his mental breakdown and stopped working, like even at the beginning, it was like, I just kind of had to decide for me what that was going to look like. And so then once he was stabilized, like more stabilized and figuring stuff out and able to get more specialized therapy, I think I just kind of continued on that, like that my own little trajectory, my own little path. Like I felt like I just had to carve out my own path because like there were people telling me to bail and there were people saying that like, this isn't fair to you. And, I was gaining a lot of weight. So people, especially when people that loved me, they had the best intentions, but they were like seeing they were physically seeing the difference in me, but they didn't know what I knew and they didn't know what marriage I had. Right. And they didn't know, like we have this history together that had been really good. Right. And so even though it felt like at the time the pendulum had swung completely to the other side, as far as like what I knew, what I thought I knew, I wanted to continue to work on myself to see where things leveled out so I could make a really clear decision moving forward about what I wanted for me and for my marriage. And he was, he got to do the same thing too. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Perfect.
I think what I would chime in here is, I remember paying attention to all these people's advice too. And I paid attention throughout my life, really, like things you hear about guys who struggle with porn and marriage and divorce. And I would listen to Lindsay whenever that subject came up between her and someone, and I was in earshot. I would, I'd be like, what are they saying?
Yes.
And usually it was something like, oh yeah, divorce. Like a lot of times it's just, there's so much jumping to the conclusion of divorce. And so I just remember when I did decide to open up to you about what had been going on for several years at that point. I thought for sure I was going to be on the curb that night or kicked out of the house, and that I might get divorced. And I thought all the things most important to me would just be gone suddenly. And it felt like one of the more courageous things I've done in my life. To open up to her that day. I just kind of decided like, it's just time. But I was freaking out, man. I thought it was all going to be taken away. And so there Danny, was part of me that believed I deserved to have it taken away. Yeah. Too. I feel very differently about that now. But at the time, man, painful spot to be in too.
So why did you tell her? What was it that mustered up the courage to go tell her?
Oh man. I think why did I? I mean, I was at a point in my life where I'd reached a lot of my big goals, right? We had our third kid, got into a house. I was becoming a really good dentist, about to buy a practice. I was this close to buying a dental practice because I wanted to own a practice. And we were doing the thing. I was going to church, doing home teaching for those of you who are LDS, right? And I was still like all the stuff that I assumed would feel better once I reach all these goals didn't. And it was very disappointing. And so I was like, okay, maybe I need to figure out the porn thing. And I was also at a point where I was just like, I need to know. I just want to know. Like, I'm in this marriage where I love her and she loves me, but like, I kind of want to know too, like if she knows everything about me, like, do we still have what I think we have? Like there's part of me that wanted to know. Felt like it was worth, it was worth it to let the truth be told. And so I told her, and I remember that day I texted her and said, hey, I want to talk to you tonight. That was kind of like my way of roping myself into telling her something.
Yes.
I sent her a text.
No backing out.
Yeah, I need to talk to you about something.
I remember thinking I was like in trouble. It's like, uh-oh. Did I forget to like return something or?
Yeah. So then kids were down for bed. I ripped off the Band-Aid and told her, and there was some sobbing involved, and mainly on my side that night.
I actually
Your sobbing came later.
My style, I think, is more like a shutdown. So I kind of dissociated. But then once he left the room, I let it all out. But,
but I didn't die. There was a lot of anxiety leading up to it and after. I felt kind of relieved after telling her. And so that's kind of what was going on in my brain that day. I was fully prepared for it to be a divorce or get out of here thing. And here we are today, years later. And I mean, we're happier together than we ever have been right now. And I think a lot of what we have now wouldn't be possible if we didn't go through what we went through then. And it's amazing to see that from this side of things, that perspective. And I always wished I had a little bit more of that offered to me at that time instead of just hearing the divorce narrative.
For sure.
Yeah. And the thing is too, like, we were everywhere I looked, because when we were going through this, there just weren't a lot. I didn't feel like there were a lot of resources for me, and you'll have to speak for yourself if you want to, but everywhere I was looking, whether it was coming from like very specialized professionals, I was basically being told this will always be a thing that you guys deal with. the rest of your life. And I remember asking like, but really, like always, it's always going to be like this. And to hear like these, hear professionals look at me and be like, yeah, sorry.
Yep. Like sex addiction certified therapists.
Yeah.
So I think, to be in this space where it actually isn't a thing anymore, and we're living this marriage that, and it wasn't easy. There was a lot of work, and it took both of us turning inward, to stabilize ourselves in a way so that we could come together interdependently. So it took work. And I think because we both wanted it, we definitely are more committed, more happy. Like everything is better than I could have even pictured.
Yeah. I like what you said too about kind of taking ownership. Like, you know what? There's different advice coming from different directions, even from therapists, right, who have experience with this. But I still, for me, need to decide. And that's something that came up for me too along the way. Like I did all different kinds of therapy for several years and did a lot of healing through that time. But the porn stuff we're still stuck on that, right? So I found coaching, and I was just at this point, I felt, I think a lot of times we want someone else to come and like show us the way and just tell us how to do it. Right. Yep, it sounds so nice. I found myself craving, like, where's the guy I can look up to on this that can just come in and tell me exactly what to do and how to do it, and who's living the life I want for me. But I remember this point where I realized one day, I was just like, you know what? Instead of waiting for this guy or trying to find this guy, like, what if I'm just that guy for me? What if I'm I lead off for me, and I can become the role model that I want for me? You know what I mean? And that was like a really empowering shift for me. I remember even as a dentist, like the easiest people to treat well are the people who really take ownership in their own care. And, even for medical doctors, the same thing. Like if you take ownership, you're going to get better treatment. And it's the same thing with this type of stuff. Like if you're willing to just take the wheel and be in the lead, then you're going to get so much more out of it. You're going to get more what you ultimately want out of it. And that was an important shift for me.
Yeah.
I can hear how even just acknowledging that you had the capacity, like, to lead out, that I can be in charge. Yeah. I'm guessing that felt so empowering to you, rather than I have no choice but just to defer to all of these other people who are the experts, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then turning inward and letting yourself be the expert. That's so powerful. I hear a lot from people people who listen to my podcast. People email me and say, I really want to stay. I want to make it work, but they're not convinced that they can make it work and really be free from some of the stories that they're telling that are really painful. Right. Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing both of you probably have dealt with that, like of going, like, Lindsay, will this always just kind of be a thing that just hovers? Will it always just be there? And I know for me, I work with women who have experienced infidelity, but for some of them, pornography is a big piece of the picture, right? So we have a lot of overlap. So what would you say to these women who, like, when you say it's better than you ever imagined, like better than it ever was before, why is that?
It honestly, I think it's just because of a series of many, many paradigm shifts that I had over time that have had a radical compound effect. And
I like it.
What that really means, Andrea, is like taking ownership more often than not, right? And shifting that ratio of taking more ownership, turning inward, and just asking yourself really good questions. Because for me, it was like, I remember just telling myself, like, there has to be more. Like, if there's more, I want it. I will claw myself up and out of any hole if there is more. So my brain was like turned on and like looking for that. Right. And because I was in that space where, even though at that time I didn't have the skills, but I had sent out the feelers. Yeah. Once I found a life coach and started hearing things that were new to me, I was like, whoa, this is different. But then if any of this is true, I have to know more. And then it just kind of like went from there.
What are some of the paradigm shifts with trust specifically that happened for you?
With trust, I would say that's actually a great question, because I think trust is such an interesting word that we use, right? Because I think it's just a very fluid term. But what I realized is it really did have so much less to do with Danny than I could have ever known. And if someone would have told me that in the beginning, I would have been like, no. Like, you can walk out that door. Like, just turn around. You're good. Just go.
It's all Danny. Yes. Right.
But, I got to my, my rock bottom. And I just remember telling myself, like, I just have to start trusting in what I can control. And that's myself. Right. And so then I was like developing and honing in on my own self-trust. And because of that, there was so much, I didn't have to like be thinking about what he was doing all the time, because I was taking care of me in this way that I never had before. And it's not always easier. I think it's easier for us to think that someone has to behave a certain way for us to feel the way that we want to feel. Because I think when we talk about trust, we're looking to feel safe. Like, we're looking to have some certainty or some safety. And we think that it's outside of us. And what I want to offer to anyone listening, even if it feels like I'm from another planet, like, you can create what you're looking for with your brain. As soon as you're ready, once you're open to it, like, you can create that. And a lot of it comes, and even if like spouses are still looking or not looking or still cheating on you, what we can start trusting is that we will know how to respond. We will know how to keep ourselves safe. We will know how to show up, and we will know how to be the person to make the decisions that we want to make if those things happen or if they don't happen.
Yep. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
So good.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. So tell me now, moving forward, like, tell me where you guys are now. So first of all, to my listeners, they live in France because they just decided they want to. So they moved to France. I love it. Remind me how long you guys have been there.
3.5 years? No, 2.5 years. 2.5. Yeah. This is our third school year with our kids. So 2.5 years.
2.5 years. Okay. So I want to grab something you just said, Lindsay. So you talked about like when you're working on yourself, like you worded it really beautifully, but when you're working on yourself, what you bring back into the relationship, right, it's a much more solid sense of self. Like, it's a belonging to yourself first, and then bringing that to your partner. And I want to hear from you. I know I have my experience to draw on. I had the same experience when early on in marriage, where, even the word pornography, I would feel anxiety around. Yeah. Right. Like, me too. Totally. Right. Yeah. And we'd have like meetings with our leaders, like our bishop, our stake president, meetings where, would really harp on it and go home, and like so much fear around it.
Yeah.
And so I remember I had a similar experience as you, where early on, my first husband mentioned something to me, and I had the exact same response, where I was just like, it must be me. I must not be good enough. It really made it about me. And as the years progressed, his comment to me was, I remember later on when so much stuff came out, that he was worried about how I would respond, and that he was scared of how I would respond. Right. So with that, how did you get to the point where you could stand there and hear it? And hear it and stay in the same space with Danny, not retreat, not run away. Not that it felt great, right? I'm sure you had felt things, but how were you able to stand there with him and move through that?
Oh, it's such a good question. What came to my mind as you said that is like, almost like this, it's weird. You like took me back to this place in time. But honestly, like, I got to this space, Andrea, where I just loved myself a lot, and I supported and sustained myself so that when he did tell me, even if it came off like there might've been times where he told me and he may have like wanted me to console him or help him. Right. If I didn't have that capacity, it was like, I loved myself enough to know that I didn't have to be that person for him and that I could take all the space in the world to, take care of myself in whatever way that looked like. Right. So like with my clients, you'll have to tell me about yours. We have like safety plans set up and ways that they can take space to, ground themselves back into the present moment. And so then whatever we are hearing, if we know we can always get ourselves back to this grounded present space, even if it's present in pain or discomfort or, discouragement, then we can at least let it pass through us. And so I think just like developing out my unconditional love for myself, the way that I feel like my Heavenly Father loves me. I don't know, I'm getting emotional thinking about that, but developing that out for me helped me support myself like on those really tough days.
Yeah.
And, Danny gave me the space to not trust him or to trust him. There was never any requirement from his end. Like, why can't you just trust me? Or why can't you respond the way I want you to? And he totally could have, and he didn't. And, some people do that and some people don't. But when we're turning inward, no matter what they're saying or not saying or needing or not needing, we can like really just sustain ourselves in that.
Mm-hmm. So beautiful.
What do you think? What about you?
I would say the same thing, that over time, I mean, you guys know my marriage ended in divorce. But for me, the work that I've needed to do, even to be present in my current marriage, like that's the mistake we make, is thinking, oh, I just need to bail. I need to get out and then I'll find somebody who doesn't do these things. Right. Or I'll just be alone, but our brains come with us to the party. And until we do this work and learn how to speak differently, those stories come along with us. Right. And so for me, like it has been necessary for me to do this work. I also did a lot of therapy. I did a lot. And I, like Lindsay said, when I started hearing about coaching, like, what is this? Like, it caught my attention so loud. Like, this is different. Right. And I knew I needed more, and I just couldn't get enough of it because it made such big shifts for me so quickly that I was able to like let go of these stories that I'd been packing around for 20 years or longer. Right. Like, just like that. And so for me, same thing, like the more I learn to bet on me, that it gives me freedom to experiment with the things around me, like to not need to control outcomes, to not need to know how things are going to go, because I know that no matter what, I got me and I'm okay and I can take care of myself. Right. Like, I don't need to micromanage. I don't need to be monitoring or, things like that. I mean, that even extends to like my kids. Like, it gives me freedom with like my children and how I discuss things with them, right? It's a shift of letting people take ownership for their lives and me taking full ownership for mine. And really it does come down to that love for yourself, which is so powerful and beautiful. Danny, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So can men stop viewing pornography? Can they stop?
Yes, it's possible. It is possible. It does not always have to be a problem. You can feel empowered. You can feel proud when you hear the word pornography. You can feel in the driver's seat and accomplished. And absolutely, it is possible. And this is something, when I meet with people, if you're making decisions about how to approach your problem with pornography, if you're making it from it's not possible type of mindset, you're not going to make decisions that help you get where you want to get with it. Right. Whereas if you are in the mindset, no, it is possible, and I'm just going until I get it. Yeah. Right. Then you're going to make decisions that take you there. Right. And not all your decisions are going to be the perfect thing for you right away, but let that be part of it. Right. This is a big thing that I do with my clients. It's like, how do we play the long game? Yeah. Right? Let's play the long game, take massive action, and just decide, you know what? We're acting as though it is possible, and we're going to take action and make as many mistakes as we need to till we get there. And we'll just go until it happens. Right. And self-love, can I just add an amen
yes.
to what you both
yes.
just said. Like if there's not one, like just you're all type of thing out there, self-love, right? I mean, that's part of what helps you start being willing to play the long game with yourself, like with an endeavor like this, right? Like if you cultivate that self-love, you know what, I am worth this effort. I'm worth playing the long, I am worth sticking with as a husband and as a father. Yeah, maybe I've looked at porn, but I'm still worth it, you know?
I love that.
That's that type of mentality didn't come naturally to me, but it's gone a long way. And then I would just add for this audience, I know our time's coming to a close real quick. Lindsay found coaching before I did. And I was slow to take it up, but part of what made me want to go dive in is seeing the impact it had on her.
Wow.
And although I am a big purporter of like, you can figure this out, guys, even if she never gets help, you can. Okay. That being said, her finding coaching and getting that help and seeing the way it impacted her, I mean, it felt very helpful just for me to kind of have the space to figure out my stuff that much more. So,
yes,
I mean, even though I could have done it without that, it was really helpful for me, for her to get that help.
Yep.
Just thought I'd add that in here.
Yeah. And vice versa too. Like you can totally, for women, you can totally get to a place of peace, empowerment, confidence, whatever it is that you're looking for. You can feel lighter, you can feel free. And you can do it whether he stopping or not stopping, right?
Yep.
And then it can happen. And sometimes it does open up that space. And it's also really wonderful too, but it doesn't have to happen for you to find every emotion that you're looking for.
Yeah.
I so appreciate you saying that, because I think that where some of our clients can get stuck is in looking outside and watching for every little thing, every clue, right? And one of the ways that I'd like to explain it is like, it's like when we're trying to lose weight, for example, when we're trying to get healthy. Let's say the goal is to get healthy. If you're changing your patterns, your habits to become a healthy person, weight loss is a byproduct, right? And I feel like it's similar to the work that we do, that when our goal is to strengthen ourselves and to learn to trust ourselves and learn to deeply love ourselves, the decision-making process becomes so much easier, right? The way kind of shows up before us. Like we just know this is what I need to do. Sometimes for some of my clients, it means ending a marriage. Sometimes it means committing to a marriage, going all in on it. But that the decisions become so much clearer coming from that space of trusting themselves first.
Yeah. And I think too, like real quick, like, could you imagine like trying to figure out, like you said, changing your eating habits to get healthier and having someone like looking over your shoulders and having all of their emotions right on that, like whether you figure it out or not. And that's the thing, like with a lot of these guys, like it's a mental skill set they haven't learned.
Yeah.
And then
just a skill.
When we're looking at them and we're like, ride that unicycle tomorrow or else, right?
I'm out. Yeah.
Like,
right.
That can be scary. And having someone watching you try, like, being all totally invested in whether you do or not. I'm not saying it's a problem, but I will say having the space to do that individually, do my own work individually was really nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love it.
I wanted you to have the help and support. I wanted you to be okay.
For sure. For sure. We are already out of time. I could sit forever and just, there's a great conversation. Yeah, it's been really, really good. I know that my clients my listeners will really appreciate this conversation. So tell us where they can find you to learn more about you.
Yeah. So for women looking for help around this, or men looking for help around this too, I have some guy clients. You can find me at lindsaypoelman.com, lindsaypoelmancoaching.com, Poelman. Yeah.
And then for me, we kind of have separate websites right now. So we do one-on-one with our clients. And for me, it's www.dannypoelman.com. You can go to that website.
Awesome.
Yep. Make sure you spell Poelman, Poelman.
Yeah. And there's good resources on both of our websites too. So
awesome. All right. Well, thank you. Do you have any last words you'd like to leave my listeners with?
Oh, I would just say like nothing whoever you are, if you're going through anything, you are not crazy. There's nothing crazy or wrong with you. You're not defect. You are perfectly whole right now. And if you have the desire for change to happen, it is absolutely 100% possible.
Perfect. Thank you. Danny, how about you?
Sure. I'd just say, you know what? It's okay to have this problem, and you're worth getting help. And it is possible to have a porn-free life. Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be a big, miserable battle. You can actually learn to not want porn and reduce the desire from the inside out. So it can actually become easy eventually, even.
So amazing. So amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. You too. Thank you so much. And I will catch up with you later.
Of course. Thanks, Andrea.
You bet. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Heal from Infidelity podcast. If you would like to be kept in the know about upcoming free classes, new podcast episodes, and other ways of working with me, go subscribe to my weekly email. You can subscribe at andreagiles.com/lies-about-infidelity/. Again, it's andreagiles.com/lies-about-infidelity/. I will see you next time.